My brother said, "You're not on the list," at his own wedding. In the house I bought him. That sentence cost him $770,000. And it cost me the last shred of hope that my family would ever see me as one of them. My name is Sierra. I'm 31. And this is the story of how I lost a family and found myself. My mother died when I was 14. Ovarian cancer. She was the only one who treated us equally. My brother Dalton and I both got bikes, both got help with homework. She didn't believe in favorites. She believed in fairness. At the funeral, my father Gerald pulled Dalton close and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "You're the man of the house now, son." I stood 3 feet away. Nobody said a word to me except one person. Patricia Callahan, my mother's best friend. She took my hands and looked me in the eyes. "I promised your mother I'd always have your back. Remember that." After the funeral, our house split into 2 worlds. Dalton got a car, a college fund, golf lessons, weekend trips. I got leftovers. When I asked Dad for textbook money, he didn't look up from the TV. "Ask your brother." I already gave him the budget. I started working at a coffee shop at 16. 4:30 in the morning before school. I bought my own notebooks, my own winter coat. Years later, Patty helped me pull old bank records. My mother had set up a college fund for me, equal to Dalton's. After she died, Gerald transferred every dollar into Dalton's account. Every single dollar. I graduated high school summa cum laude. Gerald took Dalton to a basketball game that afternoon. I walked across the stage almost alone. Almost. When I scanned the bleachers, I found one face. Patty. 3rd row, left side. Clapping so hard her whole body shook. A single sunflower in her lap. That night, I packed 2 suitcases. Gerald glanced up. "You leaving?" "Yes." "Lock the door on your way out." That was it. No hug. No good luck. Just lock the door. I rented a room above a laundromat. Worked 2 jobs. Slept 4 hours on good nights. Patty offered to help financially. I said no. I need to know if I can stand on my own. She put the checkbook away and said, "You sound just like your mother." I got my real estate license at 22. My first 6-figure year at 26. I built every piece of my life with no help from anyone. Then one Wednesday, Gerald called for the first time in years. He didn't ask how I was. He said, "Your brother needs a place. He's getting serious with a girl from a good family. Help them out. Not what you consider. Just help them out." Like I was a handyman and a faucet was leaking. Some part of me still thought, maybe if I do this, they'll finally see me. So I bought the house. A 4-bedroom colonial. $770,000. I kept the deed in my name. That was the one thing I did right, and honestly, it wasn't even my idea. Patty sat across from me and said quietly, "You're buying his love, Sierra. It doesn't work that way." Then she said, "Keep your name on that deed. Promise me." I promised. Dalton moved in, and the erasure started slowly. Thanksgiving. Nicole's family is coming. We don't have enough chairs. Maybe next time. Christmas. We're heading to the Ashfords. Their place is bigger. Gerald's birthday. Just a small dinner. Didn't want to make a big deal. Every time a reason. Every reason just believable enough that I could swallow it if I didn't chew. I found out how far he'd gone one December night, scrolling through Nicole's Instagram. A photo of Dalton, Gerald, Nicole, and her parents at the dining table in my house. Christmas garland on the banister I'd picked out. Candles on the mantel I'd paid for. The caption read, "Family Christmas at our home." Just us, a small family. Our home. Small family. I screenshotted it and saved it to a folder I didn't have a name for yet. Then a colleague called me. "Does your brother live in that colonial on Maple?" Because someone fitting his description came in asking about adverse possession. Adverse possession. It's a legal concept. If someone lives in a property long enough without the owner objecting, they can eventually file a claim to own it. He wasn't just living in my house. He was quietly looking for a way to take it. The wedding invitations went out in March. 200 of them. Not one had my name on it. My friend Karen called, cheerful and confused. "Hey, I got the invite. Are you doing a speech?" 6 seconds of silence. She figured it out before I said a word. I called Dalton. Voicemail. Called again. Same. Then a text. 3 hours later he replied. The guest list is tight. Nicole's family takes priority. Don't make this about you. I wrote back the only thing that mattered. The wedding is at my house, Dalton. His reply came instantly. Then it's been my house for 2 years. Everyone knows that. I read that sentence 3 times. Each time a different part of me broke. I called Gerald. He picked up on the second ring, which told me he'd been expecting it. It's my house, Dad. You gave it to him. That's done. I didn't give it. I let him live there. A pause. The TV wasn't even muted. Sierra, don't start. You always do this. Just let your brother be happy for once. What about me? Silence. Then quietly, almost gently, which made it worse. You'll be fine. You always are. He hung up. You'll be fine. You always are. He said it like a compliment. Like my ability to survive everything they threw at me made it okay to keep throwing things. That sentence was the cruelest thing my father ever said to me. Not because it was angry, but because it was calm. Because he believed it. Because in his mind, it was permission to never show up for me again. Then Nicole messaged me directly. Dalton told me you've been pressuring him. This is our day. Please respect our wishes. And then a second message. We appreciate the house, but don't use it as leverage. He'd flipped the whole story. Turned me from the person who gave everything into the person who used everything. And Nicole believed him. Why wouldn't she? She'd never even met me. I sat still for a long time. Something shifted behind my ribs. Not anger. Not sadness. Something colder and quieter. Like a lock clicking shut on a door I'd been holding open for 17 years. I opened my laptop. I looked up Russell Tate's number. Patty's former colleague. A lawyer. He reviewed the documents. Deed, property records, tax filings, all in my name. No lease with Dalton. No rental contract. No written arrangement of any kind. He looked up. Your brother has no legal claim to this property. Legally, he's a guest in your house. Nothing more. A guest. Dalton had been living in a $770,000 home, hosting Christmas parties, planning his wedding there, telling everyone it was his. And legally, he was a guest. Then Karen called with one more thing. At the engagement party, Dalton gave a toast. He thanked Gerald, called him his only family. When someone asked if he had siblings, Karen paused before telling me. He said, just me. Only child. I closed my eyes. That night, I went through everything. Nicole's social media. Dalton's feed. Every photo, every tag. He'd gone back and deleted or cropped every old family photo that included me. Birthday parties. Thanksgivings. Even our mother's memorial. In every image, I was simply gone, like I'd been cut out with scissors. Then I found a post where someone commented on the house. Beautiful place. How'd you swing it? Dalton replied, Dad helped us out. Family takes care of family. He credited Gerald for my house. And Gerald let him. He didn't just cut me out. He rewrote the story. And, in his version, I never existed. I sat in my apartment that night with the lights off. Just the street lamp through the window, and a framed photo of my mother on the shelf. She was 31 in that photo. My age now. Holding me as a baby, smiling like the world made sense. I thought about what she'd say if she could see all of this. And I heard her voice, the way you hear someone you've loved so deeply, their words live inside your bones. Don't let anyone tell you you're not worthy. I picked up the phone. I called Russell. List the house. If this story is speaking to something you felt before, stay with me. You're not alone. It took 3 weeks. Russell found a buyer. A young family relocating from out of state. Full asking price. No contingencies. Clean deal. Closing date, June 14th. 1 day before the wedding. I signed the papers on a Tuesday afternoon. The house changed hands at 4:17 p.m. Russell prepared the notice to vacate. 30 days, standard and legal. I chose the delivery date. June 15th. The morning of the wedding. June 15th. 82 degrees. Clear sky. I drove to the neighborhood at 6:30 in the evening and parked under an oak tree at the end of the block. Through the open windows, I could hear jazz, laughter, glasses clinking. 200 people celebrating in a house they thought belonged to the groom. Karen called from inside. "Sierra, it's gorgeous." He just thanked Gerald for giving him everything, including this beautiful home. Gerald stood up and took a bow. And then, she paused. He said he wishes his mom could be here. He said she's the only one missing tonight. The only one missing. I was 200 yards away, sitting in a parked car on a public street, listening to my brother erase me in real time from a stage built inside a house I paid for. According to him, the only empty chair belonged to a woman who died 17 years ago. I wasn't missing. I was removed. I called Russell at 8:41. "Send it." He sent two things simultaneously. First, the formal notice to vacate. Second, one email to Dalton, Gerald, and Nicole. All three. One message. I had written it the night before and revised it 4 times. Every version got shorter. The final draft was 6 lines. The property at 114 Maple Crest Drive has been sold. The transaction closed on June 14th. You have 30 days to vacate. Enclosed are a copy of the deed in my name, the signed sale agreement, and the formal notice to vacate. I wish you both a happy marriage.
Sierra.
No exclamation marks. No accusations. No emotion. Just facts, documents, and a deadline. I pressed send at 8:47. The jazz was still playing. I could hear it faintly through the open windows. Someone laughed, a big, generous champagne laugh, the kind people do when they believe everything is perfect. I turned my key in the ignition. I drove home. I washed my face, brushed my teeth, and got into bed. I slept deeply and completely without dreaming for the first time in months. Karen called at 9 the next morning. I made coffee first. Then I answered. Around 9 the night before, Dalton had pulled his phone from his jacket during a toast. He glanced at the screen. Then he went white. Not flushed, white, like the blood left his face all at once. He found Gerald near the bar. "What do you mean sold?" Then they moved to the hallway, arguing quietly the way men do when they need to impress the room around them. Nicole noticed. She walked over in her white dress. She took the phone from Dalton's hand. She read the email. She looked at the attachments. The deed. My name. The address they were standing in. "Who is Sierra Mercer? You told me this was your father's house." Margaret Ashford, Nicole's mother, appeared at the end of the hallway. She read the screen. She looked at Dalton. She looked at Gerald. Then she walked toward the front door, stopped, turned around, and walked back. That was worse. She stood in front of Dalton in the foyer and said clearly, "My daughter asked you a simple question. Who is Sierra Mercer?" Dalton tried a smile. It didn't land. "She's a distant relative." Karen stepped forward. She told me later she hadn't planned to, but she'd had 2 glasses of champagne and 17 years of watching me get erased, and something in her just broke. She's his sister. His younger sister. And she's the one who bought this house. The room went silent. Real silent. The kind where you can hear someone's shoes shift on the hardwood floor. Margaret looked at Gerald.
You
have a daughter? This is family business. It became my family's business the moment my daughter married into your lies. Nicole stood between her mother and her husband with a look Karen described as someone watching their house burn in real time. She turned to Dalton. You told me you were an only child. You told me your father bought this house. What else did you lie about? That question hung in the air. Not just about the house. About everything. Dalton went through 3 stages. First, denial. He pointed at Karen. She's Sierra's friend. She's biased. Karen didn't flinch. I was at your mother's funeral, Dalton. I watched you eat dinner at Sierra's table for 16 years. Then deflection. He turned to the room and spread his hands. Sierra's always been like this. She's jealous. She's trying to ruin my wedding. Margaret's voice cut through. She didn't come to your wedding, Dalton. You didn't let her. Then collapse. He looked at Gerald. The way a child looks at a parent when the teacher catches them cheating. Help me fix this. Gerald didn't move. For the first time in Karen's retelling, he had absolutely nothing to say. Nicole stood up. She smoothed the front of her dress. Very quietly she said, "I need air." She walked outside. Her bridesmaids followed. Then her aunt. Then her cousin. Then Margaret, who paused at the door and looked back at Gerald with an expression Karen described as the end of something. The DJ had stopped the music 20 minutes ago. Nobody asked him to restart it. The last car left at 11:14 p.m. Gerald called me at 7 the next morning. "What did you do?" "I sold my house, Dad." "You ruined your brother's wedding." "I sold my property. That's my legal right." "You did this to hurt him." "I did this because he erased me." "You both did." Then he pulled out the only weapon he had left. "Your mother would be ashamed of you." My voice didn't shake. "Mom would be ashamed of what you did to her daughter." Silence. Then, "Don't call me again, Sierra." "I wasn't planning to, Dad." He hung up. That was the last conversation I had with my father. Dalton called Monday. Raw. Hoarse. "This is my home, Sierra." "It was never your home. I let you live there." "I'll sue you." "Go ahead. The deed is in my name. Always was." Then his voice softened, almost warm. "We're family. I'll talk to Nicole. We'll have you over for dinner." "You told your wife I don't exist." Silence. "You have 30 days. I suggest you use them." Then quietly, the part that almost got to me. "I'm sorry." "Sorry for what?" He couldn't answer. He literally couldn't name what he was sorry for. Because naming it would mean admitting it happened. And admitting it would mean he wasn't the victim. "Goodbye, Dalton." Dalton hired a lawyer. Gerald probably paid for it. Didn't matter. Russell told me later the attorney reviewed the documents for about 15 minutes before delivering the verdict. "You don't have a case." She owned the property. No lease, no contract, no written arrangement. You have no legal standing. Dalton had lived in my house for 2 years, told 200 people it was his, and legally, he was nothing. Not a single piece of paper with his name on it. Because he never thought to ask. Because it never occurred to him that the sister he'd erased might one day need proof that she existed. The story spread fast. Through the country club, the neighborhood, Gerald's golf group, Nicole's social circles. The version varied, but the bones were always the same. The groom's sister bought him a house, got erased from the family, and sold the house on the wedding day. Margaret told her book club, her exact words reportedly, "If he lied about having a sister, what else is he hiding?" Gerald took it hardest. His golf friends, men he'd known for decades, started asking questions he couldn't answer. One of them, a retired judge named Walter, said it to his face over lunch. "You froze out your own daughter, Jerry. The one who bought the boy his house." Gerald left before the check came. His entire identity was built on being a respectable man. A good father. A provider. Now the people he respected most were looking at him and seeing someone else. Patty met Gerald at a coffee shop. Public place, neutral ground. She didn't ease into it. She never did. "Linda asked me to watch over Sierra. You know why? Because she knew you wouldn't." Gerald's hand tightened around his cup. "She told me you'd already picked Dalton before she even died. She made me promise to be ready, because she knew what you'd do to that girl when she wasn't there to protect her." She paused. "And she was right." Gerald stood up, put a 20 on the table, and walked out without turning around. "Patty called me that evening. Her voice was soft, the way it gets when she's been carrying something heavy and finally sets it down. I said what your mother would have said. The rest is up to him." I held the phone against my ear for a long time after we hung up. My mother had been dead for 17 years, and she was still protecting me. Some people leave instructions. My mother left a shield. People always ask about the money. $770,000. They want to know if it felt like winning. It didn't. It felt like a refund. I paid off my student loans first, the ones I'd taken out because my college fund was drained before I ever saw a dollar of it. That felt like closing a circle. Then Patty, Russell, and I built something. The Linda Mercer Foundation. A scholarship fund for young women who lost their mothers early and were trying to make it on their own. Not just college tuition, but licensing fees, certification costs, first month's rent. The practical things nobody thinks about when they say just work hard and you'll be fine. I named it after the woman who saw 17 years into the future and made a plan to protect a daughter she wouldn't live to raise. With what remained, I bought a house.
Small.
2 bedrooms.
A porch.
A kitchen window. That faces east, so the morning light comes in while I drink my coffee. The deed is in my name. Only my name. The day I moved in, I unpacked one box first. Inside was the framed photo of my mother. 31 years old, holding me, smiling. I set it on the shelf by the front door, so she's the first thing I see when I come home. This time, I said to the empty room, I bought a house for myself. Dalton and Nicole stayed together. Nicole had conditions. Therapy every week. Full financial disclosure. And an honest conversation about his family. All of it. No edits. Dalton sent me a letter. Handwritten. 2 pages. Messy handwriting, the kind that comes from writing fast because you're afraid you'll lose your nerve. He didn't apologize exactly. He said he knew he'd messed up. He said he didn't know how to fix it. He said Nicole kept asking about me and he didn't know what to tell her because he didn't know me anymore, and that was his fault. I read it twice. Folded it. Put it in the drawer of my nightstand. I didn't write back. Not because I hated him. Because I wasn't ready. And for the first time in my life, I let not ready be a complete sentence. Gerald never reached out. No letter, no call, no message through anyone. Just silence. The same silence he'd given me my whole life. Except now it was the only language he had left. Thursday nights became my anchor. Patty and I had dinner every week. Her place, my place, the Italian spot on Elm where the owner knew our orders by heart. Sometimes Karen joined. Sometimes Russell came with his wife. We'd eat and talk and laugh about things that had nothing to do with Dalton or Gerald or the house on Maple Crest. This was my family now. Not the one I was born into. The one I built. And no one at that table ever made me prove I deserved a chair. I used to think family meant sacrifice. That if I gave enough, the people who shared my blood would eventually see me. I was wrong. Not about the giving. About who I was giving to. I didn't sell that house out of anger. I sold it because I finally believed I was worth more than a guest room in my own life. If you're in a family where you're always giving and never receiving, where your love is treated like something they can return whenever it's inconvenient, you don't need their permission to stop. You don't need them to agree you've been hurt before you're allowed to heal. A boundary isn't a wall. It's a door. And you decide who walks through it. If this story touched something in you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you've ever had to choose between keeping your family and keeping yourself, tell me in the comments. I'll be reading every one. You were never too much. They were just offering too little. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you in the next one.